During the week, President Buhari sent two important letters to the National Assembly. In the first letter, President Buhari is requesting the Virement funds appropriated for special intervention to be used to fund some recurrent and capital items. He is seeking a total of 180 billion naira to cover the shortfall in recurrent and capital expenditure. In the letter read on the floors of the Senate and the House of Representatives, President Buhari says the request is necessary because of the shortfall in provisions for personnel costs and inadequate provision for the amnesty program. President Buhari also stated that the Virement is needed to cover for the inadequacies in the NYSC budget, where an additional 8.5 billion naira is required to cover the backlog of 129,469 corps members who are currently due for call-up but would otherwise be left out till next year due to funding constraints.
Considering the fact that budgeted revenues are running behind targets largely due to the renewed violence in the Niger Delta, and there are no supplementary revenue sources, the most viable option for now is the Virement of appropriated funds from heads or sub-heads that may not be fully utilized before the end of this fiscal year. In the course of implementing the 2016 Appropriation Act, several MDAs have presented issues pertaining to salary shortfalls, the settlement of part of which has led to depletion of the Public Service Wage Adjustment, PSWA. Only 20 billion already fully released was provided in the 2016 budget for the Niger Delta Amnesty Program. Consequently, the allowances to ex-militants have only been paid up to May 2016. This is creating a lot of restiveness and compounding security challenges in the Niger Delta. Due to the devaluation of the Naira, the budgetary provisions for the foreign missions are no longer sufficient to cover all their costs. The provision for presidential initiatives for Northeast, 12 billion, has a balance of less than 1.5 billion, and there continues to be emerging challenges with internally displaced persons in the zone.
In the second letter written to the National Assembly, President Buhari is seeking the approval of the Parliament for an external borrowing of $29.9 billion to ensure the prompt implementation of projects. President Buhari says the projects, which needs funding, cuts across several sectors, namely agriculture, health, education, water supply, as well as employment generation and social safety net programs. The external borrowing is also to implement projects in the Northeast, such as polio eradication support and immunization projects.
Considering the huge infrastructure deficit currently being experienced in the country and the enormous financial resources required to fill the gap in the face of dwindling resources and the inability of our annual budgetary provisions to breach the infrastructure deficit, it has become necessary to resort to prudent external borrowing to bridge the financial gap, which will largely be applied to key infrastructure projects, namely power, railway, and roads projects, among others. The total cost of the projects and programs under the borrowing rolling plan is $29.960 billion US, made up of proposed projects and programs loan of $11.274 billion US, special national infrastructure project, $10.686 billion US, Euro bonds of $4.5 billion US, and federal government budget support of $3.5 billion US.